Hello, good evening and welcome to the program. This is Daily Politics on Trust TV. I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. Thank you most kindly for joining us. Tonight, we begin with a major shakeup in Nigeria's security leadership, administratively or otherwise. President Tinubu has nominated the immediate past Chief of Defense Staff, General Musa, as the new Defense Minister. He is set to replace Abubakar Badaru, former governor of Jigawa State, who recently stepped down from his position. Now, this nomination is coming amid growing insecurity, especially in the northern part of the country, against the backdrop of the claims of Christian genocide in the northern part of the country. Several northern governors have also called for the halting of mining activities recently after their summit on security in Kaduna in an attempt to curb the widespread violence in the 19 states of the north. Security and intelligence analyst Dr. Sani Aliyu will be joining us to examine what this change might bring, the implications, as well as what Nigerians can realistically expect in the coming months and years of the Tinubu administration. But first, let's bring you up to speed with the latest developments in the polity.
State named Musa as a replacement for Mohammed Badaru, who stepped down on Monday for health reasons. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar says the opposition must move first in its push to rescue Nigeria. He met State Chairman of the African Democratic Congress in Abuja on Monday night. Atiku, who joined the ADC days earlier, said on X that the 36th State Chairman and the FCT Chairman visited to welcome him into the party. Former acting PDP National Chairman Umar Damagum has handed over to the Tanimu Turaki-led National Working Committee. His tenure expired on December 8 after months of internal conflict involving the faction aligned with the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike. The handover took place at the Bauchi State Governor's Lodge in Abuja. The PDP crisis deepened on Monday after the Osun State chapter cancelled its December 2nd governorship primary. This happened on the same day Taraba State Governor Abu Kepas met President Bola Tinubu after aligning with the APC. Osun PDP Chairman Sunday BC said the party couldn't proceed with the primary because of the unresolved national leadership issues and uncertainty around Governor Demola Adeleke's interest in seeking another term on the party's platform.
Some of the day's latest political developments there in the roundup. Now let's switch gears and come back to our conversation for the evening, which is going to center on the leadership of Nigeria's security architecture. Strengthening that security architecture is a key word from the presidency's message in that press release announcing the nomination of General Musa as the nominee for the post of Minister of Defense. We understand that in the last 24 hours he's met with the president on Monday evening, which preceded the resignation of former Governor Badaru as the substantive Minister of Defense on health grounds, as well as the eventual announcement of General Christopher Musa as the incoming Minister of Defense. So what does all of this mean? How much of it is related to politics? How much of it is going to be value addition against the backdrop of the fact that he left his position as Chief of Defense Staff just a couple of weeks ago? What does all of this mean? Let's bring in our guest. Dr. Sani Aliyu is here to provide some context and analysis. Doctor, it's good to see you. Thank you so much for stopping by this evening.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on your program this evening.
Right. First question, how consequential is this decision in your view?
Well, first of all, I was saddened by the removal of General Musa or subsequent retirement from the Nigerian military as the Chief of Defense Staff because of the major step he has taken to mitigate and cut down and counter terrorism in Africa, not only in Nigeria but in Africa, with the conference of hosting the conference of African Chief of Defense Staff in Abuja, where resolutions were reached, and we started seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, that Africa will come out of the quagmire of insecurity as it is today. And suddenly he was removed about 2 weeks after that conference. So I began so worried, I was so disturbed. But well, as it is today, I realized that the president actually sees stuff in him and knows that he will better perform at this level of defense minister, because Musa is a very sound, young, and very intelligent military officer who has a lot of vision for the peace, security of Africa, and indeed his country, Nigeria. Again, I became excited with this announcement with the Army nomination as the Minister of Defense, and I knew that we are coming out of our woods now. We are having an experience, we'll be having an experienced, well-tested personality who will come to play. And I assured you that Nigeria will see a great change in terms of this fight against terror and against bandits and kidnapping in Nigeria. I think Nigeria, the president, I will congratulate President Ahmed Bola Tinubu for this choice. And I'm sure the president is very, very serious to deal with this whole violence frontally.
Right. So, one question around what many question is double standard in a sense. If General Christopher Musa retired, is not good enough to continue as CDS, as Chief of Defense Staff, why is he good enough to be the next Minister of Defense?
Well, you may ask such question, but from my point of mathematical connections, I think the president exactly knows why he asked General Musa to drop the uniform and wear the civilian uniform, the civilian dress, to come and head the Ministry of Defense. He knows very well his contribution. He knows he's a very experienced and an astute general. Uniform can limit him from a lot of outspokenness, a lot of other activities he will. When you are talking about international cooperations with, in regards to fighting terrorism, counter-terrorism, and so on and so forth.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Doctor. You're making it sound like this is a promotion.
Well, it is, as far as I'm concerned, it is a very huge promotion for him. For someone to retire as Chief of Defense Staff, and less than 1-2 months, he's reappointed as Chief of Defense Staff. Why? It's a promotion. Honestly, it's a big task ahead, bigger than what he was holding before.
I mean, some would question, how was his performance as CDS? Because when the president made the announcement of relieving, which came abruptly, some might add, it says a lot about their inability to meet the expectations of the president, who is the commander-in-chief, but also Nigerians, because we've seen an uptick of security gaps and lapses, which have become disturbing over the last couple of months. But tell me again why you think this is the administration sticking with someone that they believe can do the job when they had question marks about his ability to get the job done as Chief of Defense Staff.
I think many of us began very, very worried when the president announced the retirement or the removal of CG Musa as the Chief of Defense Staff, because at that point of removal, that was the time General Musa gave an order that anything bandit, anywhere you see them, kill them. And so we that we are in the industry began to feel excited that for once the general has spoken, as the Chief of Defense Staff said, this is a serious business. Anywhere you see anybody relating to kidnapping or terror or whatever name you want, coloration want to give him, bandit or whatever, kill them. And suddenly he was removed. So we now start asking questions. Is it that the government is not serious about fighting this terror or what? The person who comes out clearly to tell us that we don't have any space to tolerate any form of negotiation and any form of terror in the country, and give that order, suddenly removed. And the person who hosted Africa and started and be the torchlight for African counter-terrorism impact, who under his behest, the conference was hosted, and a very good resolution was reached where they said they are going to form an African counter-terrorism brigade. Everyone is excited that today Africa is becoming one under the astute leadership of the Nigerian Chief of Defense Staff, CG Musa, suddenly removed. So we start asking a lot of questions. What is happening? But now we now understand the mathematical calculation of Mr. President, that it's not that he removed him because of weakness or because of non-performance, but we strategized him.
This was the plan all along, to take him out as CDS and then bring him back as minister? You think that was the plan?
That could be the plan of Mr. President. Remember,
what about the other service chiefs who are not coming back into the government?
Remember, President Ahmed Bola Tinubu is always a card player. He is a card player. You do not underestimate his capabilities, his capacity. If not for President Ahmed Bola Tinubu in the first place, General Musa couldn't have been able to host that Chief of Defense Staff, Chief of Defense conference in African Chief of Defense conference, because it is only the American state that holds such conference. No any country, no any continent outside America that is holding that global Chief of Defense Staff conference. Nigeria, led by Tinubu, under his behest, General Musa hosted similar conference for Africa. It was a thumb up for them.
So let's talk about what led to their removal, because at that particular moment there was the talk of a planned military coup, a foiled military coup, and some of the explanations given as to why they had to give way was because they didn't see it coming. How do you expect Nigerians to believe that this whole thing was strategic and this is not a compromise in a way to bring him back at a different level to serve the administration again?
Well, you see, people must just talk, whether good or bad. People must just talk. The truth is that I am not in Mr. President's own mind. I don't know his strategy. But from what I play within this period, one will say, from my own point of view, that Tinubu, President Ahmed Bola Tinubu, is a strategist. Because our worry was, how could a very fine officer in General Musa be removed while we are seeing him, while we started seeing some certain strategic move from him? Why should he be removed? We couldn't understand it, truly speaking. But with his coming back again, now we now saw the strategic move of Mr. President.
Okay, talk to me about the role of the defense minister. It's quite administrative, as we know it, as any other minister is. The president is still the commander-in-chief. The service chiefs report directly to the president. I mean, obviously there are some areas of synergy and collaboration with the minister and things like that. But what value is he going to add politically? Because he's now away from the operational and tactical aspect of it. We have a CDS in General Oluede. Talk to me about what politically CG Musa brings to the table, because his role is going to be administrative and political.
First of all, I want you to understand that that defense ministry, under the standard appointment level given to the flow from US, Europe, and the rest, you will see that it's either a retired general or one of the finest intelligence officer, somebody that has been tested and grilled in terms of security, will always is appointed as the Minister of Defense.
I mean, not always.
Always. 90% in other. I'm not talking about Nigeria.
Right.
I'm talking about advanced countries.
Yeah, but in Nigeria, we've had more civilians in the defense minister role.
This is what I'm telling you, that President Ahmed Tinubu is a strategist. He's changing the game now, because obviously the relationship between Musa and the current CDS and the Chief of Defense, Chief of Army Staff, and the Chief of Navy, all the service chiefs will be very, very intimate. Because remember, Army is like a cult. They operate like cult. And so that camaraderie is there. And that respect is there. So that flow of communication is untempered.
And what value is that going to bring to Nigerians who just want to go to bed with two eyes closed?
Yes, it brings a lot of value, because there's proper communication, there is no misunderstanding. What actually hampers our security cohesion in this country is that rivalry, misunderstanding, and lack of proper communication that exists within the security agencies. But with fine officer who's just come out from that and is giving the administration of defense now, he knows the kind of weapons Nigerians are lacking, what we want. He knows this. He has a vast experience of what to do with that office administratively and politically, and within the country and outside the country, to mitigate this issue of violence, attacks here and there, and the insecurity that is been a problem of Nigeria for over almost 2 decades now.
Right. There is this suggestion that this was because of Nigeria's current tensions with the United States, that there is a demand, that it doesn't make sense that in the same breath where the Americans are accusing the Nigerian government of inaction against what they claim is a Christian genocide, to have two ministers in the Ministry of Defense who are both Muslims. And this appears to be a compromise on the part of the Tinubu administration, that this is a political, symbolic gesture to bring back CG Musa, who appears to be a low-hanging fruit. Do you think there's something in that argument, that this is because of the Americans who want Nigeria to look like, at least the Nigerian government, to look like they're taking matters seriously by embedding in their security leadership a mixture of Muslims and Christians?
Well, I would tell you that the Americans know much that is happening in this country better than even the Nigerians. And they very well know that there was nothing like Christian genocide in Nigeria. All this, there are a lot of things that are happening that you would like to take a cue of what is happening between America, Russia, between America and China. And then the relationship that is existing now between Nigeria and China, and the relationship we are having with Russia too, and the BRICS issue. So there is a lot of complexity in terms of this American, the Trump assertion. It's just a way of drawing the attention of the Nigerian leadership to order that we are not happy with what you are doing with your petrodollar transactions. Today, Dangote is becoming the biggest petroleum refinery in the world. If we start producing 1.4 million barrels per day, even there's no refinery in the whole world that is matching Nigerian refinery. And again, Nigeria is poised to start selling its product in any currency, not necessarily dollar. We have already entered the transactional onion during Buhari's regime, even though not properly implemented, but I'm sure the agreement is already entered. So Nigeria now is showing its own position that we are thinking of our own growth, our own survival, than listening to any American government or European government. So we are a sovereign state.
So you don't think his choice as Minister of Defense has anything to do with the Americans and the genocide claims that the Nigerian government under Bola Ahmed Tinubu is trying to push back on?
Absolutely, I'm not seeing it from that direction at all.
Right, okay.
Absolutely.
Before we continue and double down on the conversation, let's take a quick look back at some of the tough statements that the immediate past CDS, who is now the minister designate or nominee, has made over the last few years while he was still in charge of Nigeria's defense as chief of defense staff. Comments he made about community security, comments he made about Boko Haram insurgents, comments he made to troops on the front lines about his expectations and why he appears to be so endeared to the Nigerian public. Have a look.
The community or any infrastructure you are protecting is being destroyed and you have no other means of stopping them, you are allowed to fire. So do not be afraid to take out any criminal or any enemy that is destroying or is doing any acts of killing. Is that clear? Yes, sir. But like I've told you, the communities you are protecting must know that you are there to protect them, not to go there and infringe on their human rights.
Anybody who comes to theater and finishes without killing one Boko Haram is not complete. So you must make sure before you go, no be so. That's the only way we can finish them. Look for them. They should not be looking for us, we should be looking for them.
Border management is very critical. I've had countries, because of the level of insecurity they had to fence their borders. I know sometimes when you mention, people say, no, it's not, it's impossible. Pakistan fenced 1,350 kilometer border with Afghanistan. That was the only time they had peace.
General Christopher Musa there on the record. General Christopher Musa retired. I'm still getting used to calling him a retired general. On the record, there are some of the most viral clips of his days as CDS, and perhaps which explains to some degree why the Nigerian public is so endeared to his track record as well as his commitment as Chief of Defense Staff. Dr. Sani, why do you think this particular decision of the Tinubu administration resonates with people who have over the last 2 years criticized almost every decision the Tinubu administration has made? It appears that this decision to nominate CG Musa as Minister of Defense is quite popular with Christians, with Muslims, with APC folks, with PDP folks. It appears to be a decision that is quite popular with the people. Why do you think so?
Yeah, first of all, it's very exciting to note that Tinubu is a strategist, first of all, that bringing back Musa, General Musa, to become the Minister of Defense will actually send chill to the Boko Harams, to the bandits. Those that are excited that the general has gone will now be saddened again. They will now know, oh, the general is back again. So they have a lot of problems to face. So Nigerians are actually excited because, first of all, the man Musa is a fine general, a very committed Nigerian. You can see that patriotism in him. You can see that zeal, that want to deliver in him. So if he carries this back as Farun Hula, that is a civilian, as a civilian now, we are sure that within no time, he will see some progress because all the bottleneck regarding resources going to the defense and all those, he's already aware of it. As a minister this time around, he will deal with such problems. Because sometimes, as a chief of defense staff, when he's communicating his needs to the minister of defense, the minister of defense may not necessarily understand what he's talking about. But now, the new CDS now, communicating with the former CDS, Minister of Defense, becomes a very good flow that we will not see anything. Nigeria will actually see progress.
Is he ready for this particular experience? I mean, we've seen former generals play this role as Minister of Defense in the past administrations. You could go back as far as the beginning of the Fourth Republic with General T.Y. Danjuma, who played in this particular role for the Obasanjo administration. We've had several other retired military generals, brigadier generals who have served in this capacity. But much of it is administrative, isn't it? A lot of politics, a lot of horse trading. Do you think that he's fit for the job? I mean, clearly you speak very highly of him, but there are some people who have concerns that navigating the politics of government would probably be tricky for him. Is he fish out of water as minister, you think?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, whatever the slimy environment is, he was in, and he just came out and come back again. So I think he's already used to the terrain. I don't see Musa as getting any problem with his principal, the president, or having problem with the other chief of service, service chiefs, or even Nigerians, because for once, people have been crying foul that why will it be that this so person that is seen with so kind of people is put to become chief of minister of defense? Why are we not bringing people that can be able to deal with the situation? So today, Tinubu has listened to the cry of Nigerians and is bringing this. His blood is still boiling. Unlike Tiwa Danjuma that has gone to rest for many years before Obasanjo dusted him and brought him back to lead the defense. Even at that, he performed. Tiwa Danjuma performed very, very well. But this one, Musa, his blood is still hot. He has not rested. So the same speed is bringing him in. So we should expect a lot of progress.
There are those who also express the concern that he doesn't need Matawalle in this position as Minister of State because he has served under Matawalle, who is obviously the second minister in that position leading the ministry. Do you think Matawalle is going to be rendered redundant with CG Musa as substantive Minister of Defense?
If I were Matawalle, I would not wait for anybody to tell me to put in my paper and respect myself and go. Because the time is changing now. The time is changing. It's not the time the two civilians will understand themselves from the civil point of operation. They know nothing about defense. The two of them know nothing about defense. But this man is an experienced person, so if he's talking from the onions he knows. And then, of course, the Matawalle will be rendered redundant in his office, as far as I'm concerned, because Musa is coming with all the experience. He was in the field. Has been a field officer. He was
theater commander.
He was theater commander, field officer, and he had the defense. So he's coming with a whole lot of experience. And now he's becoming the Minister of Defense. So in terms of communication, of talking about what is on ground, knowing what move and what to do and what not to do, Musa knows everything. Matawalle his experience was just as a governor, and as far as I'm concerned, governors lament these days that it's just a nomenclature calling them chief security of the state, but they really don't have any security instrument in their hands. So you don't think he would need Matawalle for any reason as his deputy, and you think the president should let him go? I think the president should allow Matawalle to go. We are tired of Matawalle because even the Zamfara people and the governor of his state, they are still complaining because as a junior minister, he couldn't even help his state out of the insecurity quagmire in that state, and he couldn't help his governor for nothing. So I think the president should just say, Matawalle, thank you very much for your service. Bye-bye. Bring another fresh blood and keep him there so that we will see a lot of activities going on and how Nigeria will regain its glory, its past glory. Because Nigeria, for all intent and purpose, is the most populous black nation in the world. And from the seat that God-given seat for Nigeria, we are leaders of Africa. And
are we?
Yes, we are leaders of Africa. Whether you want to agree with me or not, we make...
I mean, I'm not sure the data the data supports that argument.
South Africa today, the birthday of South Africa, the independence of South Africa was anchored by Nigeria. The peace in Liberia, the peace in Sierra Leone, most of the peace in Congo and most part of Africa is anchored by the participation of Nigeria to ECOWAS.
Yeah, but isn't that history, though? I mean, you can't keep living in the past.
And that is why we have to revert Nigeria again with this silent changes that is happening now. Because giving to Boko Haram, that's weakening ECOWAS. Because you can only intervene in countries that are troubled when you have peace your own self. But with Boko Haram, Nigeria is troubled to even think of how to intervene in other countries' problem. If Nigeria is not troubled, this thing that is happening in Darfur, Sudan, Nigeria will have stopped it. If Nigeria is not troubled, a lot of happenings in other African states, nations today, Nigeria will have intervened and stopped it.
Right.
But because Nigeria is troubled, so we are troubled ourselves. So what Tinubu will do, whether he likes it or not, he's Nigerian president, but as far as I'm concerned, he's African president.
Right. I'm not sure what the rest of Africa thinks about your comments.
Mandela said it, that if Nigeria sneezes, the whole of Africa catches cold. And until Nigeria gets it right, Africa will never get it right.
Right. Okay. I mean, a lot of points to unpack there, but keeping the conversation local and domestic, the conversation about this being a symbolic political gesture, you say that you don't think that that is the end game there. You think that there could be material significance to putting CG Musa in that position as Minister of Defense. Talk to me about what your expectations are, because we know a minister's role is administrative, but what do you realistically expect in terms of changes, in terms of operations on the ground? You say his blood is still hot. Perhaps he still feels that he has unfinished business because his time as CDS was cut short rather prematurely, many would add. What is the realistic expectation in your view in this new role as minister as soon as he's confirmed?
Well, I see him working in synergy with all the service chiefs. I see them understanding the common situation and the common problem. I see them understanding the needs of Nigerians and the needs of Mr. President and that of international communities. I see them putting their heads together to actually rattle this situation of bandits and terrorists that are pervading the security landscape of Nigeria. I see them achieving dramatically, though, success in a very short time, because the minister has been under the head of administration now, already is aware of the bottlenecks that is hindering the military performances. And so I'm sure those bottlenecks he will tackle as soon as he steps into that office. So Nigerians should actually see a lot of, let's start seeing a peaceful Christmas.
Okay. Let's wait and see what happens in the weeks and months to come. As things stand, Nigerians have had quite the tough November with all of the attacks, with all of the kidnappings in the north central as well as in parts of the northwest. Dr. Sani Aliyu, we're going to have to leave it here for now, but thank you so much for the analysis. I appreciate you very much for stopping by this evening.
Thank you.
Good to see you again.
Thank you.
Right, we're going to take a quick break. Daily Politics will be back in just a moment. Join us again.
This is Trust TV.